Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here today to talk about the brand new 2024 Stockli Stormrider 95. I think it's fair to say that the entire Stormrider line changes for 2024. It's just varying degrees of change. But I think the 95, we have decided, changes the most.
Yeah, and that's kind of a theme that we've seen with kind of the mid-90s version of some skis.
A lot of changes in that mid-90 world.
Yep, so like Rustler 9, like that one gets the most changes. And then moving here to Stockli, we see more with the 95 than the 102 and the 88.
Yep. Now, even though I say that the 95 changes the most, before we get into any details, would you say the changes are marginal?
Yeah, if you...
At least from a construction and shaping perspective.
Pretty darn close. And just an overall, like, quality and precision character as well.
Right, you get to the performance side.
Yeah, there's no significant drop-off or increase from
a performance perspective.
From performance,
just
correct.
A little bit of a change.
Yeah. More like character than actual performance.
Yep. A lot of compliments on the top sheet graphics.
I think they normally do a great job. You know, we even had some of the older Stormrider 105s come through our warehouse.
Yeah, with like all silver with like the green. It's almost like they went back to that a little bit with these new ones.
Yeah, no, and those look great, and these do too. 102
does too. 102's got like a rose gold finish.
Right.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is it. This is the 2024 ski right here. Bob's got the current 2023 version over next to him. And Bob, I'll give you one of these skis if you want to start with construction.
Sure.
Because there are some changes to construction.
Yep, we still have a lot of the same basic ingredients with the previous version here. Light wood core made from balsa and fuma woods. We do get metal on the bottom and this Ty-Tech laminate on the top. Nice weight-saving tip here that they're able to just kind of put the graphic on the metal.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah.
But that's like one of the big things that Stockli does, at least with these Stormrider skis. And then, you know, we also see it with like WRT ST and or I guess WRT Pro has Ty-Tech. And yeah, it does. It like allows you to get the benefits of metal while essentially eliminating an entire layer of ski construction.
Yep. And that's kind of one of the things that really makes these stand out amongst competition is that they aren't that heavy. You know, you get an incredible amount of performance and responsiveness without a ton of weight.
Yeah.
We do drop a little bit in weight from this 180, from the previous 184 to this 182. It's about 100 grams or so of a drop.
Yep.
And I'll get to that in a second, where that weight savings comes from mostly. But as we've talked about with Stockli in the past before, every laminate that they put on, the glue layer gets our favorite rubber dust.
Rubber dust. We haven't talked about rubber dust in a while either.
Definitely time to bring that conversation back. So basically every time that they're mushing two pieces together, they're putting in damping material in there.
Yep.
So really that attributes to the smooth feeling of this ski.
Yeah, incredibly smooth.
Yeah, highly engineered process of how they hand make these skis, and really, really impressive stuff.
Which, like, maybe this is a good moment to take the opportunity to say, if you're wondering why they're so expensive, like, there's a pretty significant reason right there.
Yep.
Also, like, putting this metal top sheet on, like, there are some production methods going on here and materials being used that just scream quality. And then I wish I could remember the stat, but, like, I can't remember how many hours it takes to build a single pair of Stocklis or how many different hands touched them, but it's wild. And when you start to, like, add up the labor hours of all those different people that touch it, like, you're going to get to whatever we're at here.
Yeah.
$1,200, $1,300, $1,400.
Yeah, I think it was $1,250 or $1,295.
Yeah.
But yeah, not cheap, but that's a labor cost, and that's kind of what we're seeing with ski costs in general. So not like this is a real outlier anymore. We're seeing that $1,000 mark being hit fairly consistently. And the tail here is where we're seeing the kind of the biggest difference, both from a shape and a construction perspective. So when we get into shape, we can hold up the old version with this ski and kind of get a closer look. But basically, they did away with the metal in the tail, that additional metal.
Yeah, I
think
hold
if you
one
can
of
hold
these.
that one
Absolutely.
up there. So new freeride tail. So basically, they're incorporating the 102's tail into this 95. Taking out that metal cap that Jeff has on that Behemoth 193 over there.
This thing's huge.
Yeah, and replacing that metal with their kind of just their high-tech polymer material. So that is the weight reduction as well as kind of the biggest character change in terms of shape.
Did you say they're taking out a little torsional stiffness back there?
Only in the very end of that turn.
Right, the very
end.
Very end.
Yeah. And we definitely put these together, and I don't think it's going to show up as well on camera, but you know, having the shape altered just a little bit to fit this new freeride tail definitely alters the finished portion of the turn.
Yep.
So that's pretty much it for construction.
Still a pretty stiff ski.
Yeah, totally. That doesn't change. Nothing in like the shape of the shovel from the waist up changes. It's really just in that very tail end.
We always used to talk about, like, you know, how light these things are, but then also how stiff they are. But then, you know, when you think about other skis where you're using those adjectives, light and stiff, like cores come to mind.
Right.
And these have like way more vibration damping.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, like a testament to Stockli's manufacturing and the skis that they're making. And another way to justify the price is like, this is a pretty difficult thing to achieve. A ski that's this light, that just is that strong and has that smooth of a feel when you get it on snow.
Yeah, and that's just the big difference between carbon powered and metal powered is that we're gaining that damp feeling, and Head does a great job at adding dampening materials in order to offset that carbon.
Correct.
Whereas Stockli does not have to do that. You know, they use the rubber dust, but they don't have to really put other material in there.
Right. So maybe I'll start with shape, just kind of give an overview of the shape of this ski. And then, Bob, I loved your visual of the difference in the tail, and I think that's important. I also think the length breakdown is really important too. But before we get to that, Stormriders are 100% directional skis, and pretty flat-tailed directional skis too.
Yeah.
Even when you get up to the 102 and start comparing the 102 to other skis, other directional 102 skis, it's got a much flatter tail. And I think you could probably say the same thing about tip rocker too. So there's not a crazy amount of tip rocker in this ski. It's pretty subtle, and like big change in the amount when you decamber it to fully cambered. Fully cambered, it almost looks like there's none. Decamber it and you start to see it jump up a little bit, which I think is a fun way to design a ski, because you get like a lot of precision and good edge contact, but then you also get kind of the supple turn entry and a little bit more versatility out of the tip. But the tail, to me, is more interesting. You know, you'll see some rise back there, but that's a pretty flat tail.
Yeah.
And although we dropped the metal finish that we just looked at, it's still more kind of squared off than a lot of skis.
Yep.
You see a lot of skis in this category, you know, directional, strong, powerful all-mountain skis, that even those strong ones, you know, enforcers, stuff like that, they have much more of a rounded finish to the tail.
Yeah.
And then we dropped, what, 1 meter in turn radius here?
From this one to the comparable length. You know, this big ski's got longer.
Sure.
But it went from 19.6, I think, to 18.5.
Now we're 18.5 here. And what's interesting, and we'll look at this in just a second, we are 132.95, 120 in this ski. And that ski's actually got, the listed measurements are wider in the tail, which, you know, on paper, without any other info, you would say, well, that's impossible.
Right.
The turn radius has to be longer if you're narrowing the tail.
Right.
But what we were looking at just earlier is how kind of the widest point of the tail has changed.
Yeah,
and brought more towards the center of the ski.
I don't think we're
very
going to get this
interesting.
as well, but like
You
this,
kind of have to see it in person.
yeah, the older version extends out further and
like-
just kind of juts out at the very end, whereas the new version tapers in slightly.
Yeah.
So it's an increase of that taper angle at the very end. And you really do have to kind of, and you do get 3 millimeters, like it's there, like you can feel it with your fingers.
Yeah.
But that's how they're doing it. So this Stormrider, this older version, they're counting that side cut as ending closer to the actual tail, whereas the new one is bringing that widest part closer to the center of the ski.
Yep.
So that's really the main reason for those numbers looking a little bit different on paper than in person or feeling wise on snow.
Yep.
But yeah, really interesting stuff.
Now, you also mentioned, I was grilling you before we started filming, which was fun. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, you love it, right? And you were like, I really like the new ski.
Yeah.
And a big reason that you said that was the breakdown in lengths.
Yep. So 193 here on the old model goes down 9 to 184.
Yep.
9 more to 175.
Yep.
9 more to 166.
Big jumps.
Big jumps, 9 centimeters. I can't imagine that this 193 and then the 166 on the other end were
Sold particularly
huge sellers.
Nope.
So I think by tightening it, they did drop a length. So now it starts at 170, goes, no, they kept the same number. Sorry, 170, 76, 82 or 83?
82.
82, thank you, and 88.
Yep.
So I think that the 82 here that Jeff has and then down to the 76, that's going to be that sweet spot there.
Totally. But even like 188
Yep.
is a lot more manageable than 193.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum there. Like 177 is a much more common length for most skiers, or at least most men, than
Yeah.
166.
170, you mean? Yeah, 170.
Yeah, what did I say?
177.
Oh,
But
I meant 170. And then like also like speaking to somebody like me, like in that ski, where did I go?
right.
Did I go 175, which is a little short sometimes for me, and then 184 is like a little long.
Especially given like the stiffness and the performance of the.
Totally. And I think now, like, I don't know, I'd probably land on that 176.
Yeah.
But I would have two better choices.
Right.
And I think I'm probably representative of at least a good amount of skiers from size and length choice.
Yeah, and like I'll ski a lot of skis in this low 190s range, but not this one.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
like 188 is going to be way
Yeah,
better.
188 is going to be far better. And I spent my time on that 182, and it was great. I
Yeah.
had no issues with the length in that thing at all.
Yeah. So, Bob, you skied this a lot.
Yep.
You had this thing in the back of your truck for like a week straight. I think you
Yeah.
skied it 4 days in a row. We skied it on media day.
Yep.
I wish we had some footage of Robby skiing it, but we got other footage to share of former World Cup ski racer on
Yeah.
Stockli's, so that'll be fun. But yeah, you skied this a lot more than I did. I skied the 88 and the 102 a lot. Did ski this a little bit, but I'm very curious on your take because it seems like you at least spent enough time on it to really get to know it.
I think that mid-90s skis should be a little bit more skewed towards the all-mountain free ride side versus front side. You know, I feel like we're moving kind of away from, wide race-oriented skis and more into
Industry in general.
industry in
I
general.
agree 100%.
And I'm into it.
Especially with like the kind of resurgence in excitement about narrow skis.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for a long time, and the industry is still a reflection of that with skis like Bonafide 97s or Enforcer 100s. Like, do we need these like
Right.
Do we need to build wide carving skis?
Yeah.
And like there's still obviously a benefit to skis like that. Like there's a Stance 102 behind the camera, which like that thing rips and it's even wider. And you could say the same thing about the Stormrider 102.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying, and I agree 100%.
The implementation of this tail really makes this thing feel smoother. So this one, for all the lovely parts of it, and it is a wonderful ski, for this build, having this part at the end was a little bit on the business side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So like on groomers, great, you get that nice rebound out of the turn.
Right.
If
Incredible finish.
Incredible. If the snow gets soft, if you go off piste, if you're using a 95 millimeter ski like it should be used,
right,
in varied conditions and terrain, this new tail style works quite a bit better. I don't think we mentioned it yet, but they also moved that mount point forward 2 centimeters. So
you think that helped too?
I think in conjunction with that tail, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, if they had kept this tail shape and moved that mount point forward,
probably actually would have made it harder.
Yeah. So they've, you know, I kind of said in the writing article that ski construction is like taking an inch from here and adding it there. There's always like an offset.
Give or take.
Yeah. So that's kind of the give and take here, is that they get you more in the middle of the ski and make that tail a little bit more playful.
Yeah.
So it's about as smooth as it gets. And I use that term hover skiing. We make fun of Emily for our still pictures of her, and she's never on the snow. You know, she's just in the air hovering, and it looks great.
Yeah, it does. I was going to say, I don't know if it counts as making fun.
No,
I think for
complimenting.
me, it counts more as like pointing out jealousy. Yeah. Like, how do you do that?
So now, like, this feels more like it's capable of that versus the previous version, which definitely had more of a locked-in feel.
So you feel a little, like, lighter as a skier. You know, like, when you're skiing it, you feel more maneuverable and like you can, not just the ski feels that way, but it comes through in your reaction to the ski.
And I think that's part of the charm of these really precise, well-built skis, is that it starts at the ground and goes right up through your body.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you can feel that precision and quality. Like, you don't feel anything under your feet unless you want to. Certainly capable of making high G-force, high angle turns.
Yeah.
Like, definitely does that really well. But I think that this little upgrade here makes it feel like you're just floating a little bit more, which is, I think, a nice thing.
Yeah, so you don't think they've anything on the firm snow groomer, rip a carve?
Only at the very end. And, you know, that's why the 88 exists, and that's why Montero exists, and those other skis. I think that this is a better fit for what the target is.
And it's probably still one of the best carving mid-90s skis on the market.
I mean, the thing just, it doesn't chatter. It doesn't move. It doesn't feel like it moves under your feet. It doesn't sound like there's anything under there. It just feels like glass.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Really,
isn't it?
really interesting.
All of them feel that way.
Yeah.
88, 95, 102, they all feel like they almost feel like the ski. So now maybe I understand your hover ski title or description better. Like, it doesn't feel like the ski is touching anything.
Yeah. Whereas, like, Mantra, Bonafide, like, you are well aware of its presence.
It is. Like, the way that those skis like transfer energy through the ski, through your boots to your body, is like not necessarily a positive.
No.
And most of the time when we're talking about like energy transfer, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something about these that it's hard to describe in words, really, but they just incredibly smooth.
And like, think of the sound that a Mantra makes when you're up
on
both edges. Like, it is just pinging along.
Yeah.
And it is not moving. Like, there is like, it is a high performance vehicle.
Yeah.
It's not like these do less performance.
No, but they don't make a sound.
But they don't make a sound doing it.
And what? Yeah.
And that's like,
Pretty crazy.
yeah, and that's kind of been my default response for people asking for like price justifications.
Totally. And
I'm
that's like, yeah.
it doesn't outperform a Mantra or a Bonafide.
Right.
But it does pretty much everything that those skis do with way less sound and way less like
Right.
just feel.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting conversation.
It's like, this feels like a really good time for a car analogy, and I'm trying to pinpoint what I want to use for an analogy. It's like taking like an early 2000s S4 wagon and like putting a big turbo on it.
Yeah.
And kind of just like tuning it aggressively and making it really fast.
Yeah.
As fast as a brand new Audi RS6 Avant. If you took those two cars to a racetrack, you'd probably be pretty close on
Yeah.
paper. You know, power to weight ratios are the same and stuff like that. But the RS6 is going to feel better.
Right.
So I think that's, and it's
Yeah.
a $100,000 car.
Right.
This is a $1,200, $1,300 ski. So it just makes sense.
Yeah. You know, is it 3 times better than a $400 ski? You know, we talk about
Right.
Is it twice as good as a $650 ski? You
Right.
know, like, no. But it certainly has the capabilities and the behavior that put it on a different level in terms of quality.
Yeah. So still excellent carving ski in this kind of, does anyone say mid-fat anymore? What's mid-fat these days?
I would say that that's mid-fat.
I would too.
because-
I was going to say it.
Yeah.
I caught myself. But yeah, I'd say still one of the best mid-fat carving skis on the market. Sounds like at least you think they've just made it a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, and I think it just fits the category better.
Yeah.
Mid-fat used to be what, 78?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
that's like front side specific. It's
pretty
crazy.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Any other strong feelings that you want to share on these Stormrider 95s?
Not particularly, only that, like, you know, if you find yourself in a position to kind of go back to back with a couple of skis, if you're, you know, in a demo shop and find yourself faced with,
Yeah.
you know, a rack of Stocklis and a rack of something else, like, do a back to back, you know,
Yeah.
feel it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of hard
is fun.
it's kind of hard to just sit here and say, yes, it's smoother, yes, it's better, yes, it's quieter.
Yeah.
You really do have to kind of experience that silent nature of the ski and decide if that's something that you want to spend more money on.
Right.
You know, and that's a conversation between people and their bank accounts, really.
Totally. And like all those other skis are still great.
Yep.
Like still some of the best skis objectively on the market, period.
Yep.
You know, Mantras have a strong following and there's a huge reason why. So it's
Yeah.
not like that's a bad ski by any means. You do feel a difference.
Yep. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, you know, get on a pair.
Yeah.
Any Stockli, really, but
No, I was thinking about like over a year ago at this point, but when like the new Monteros were starting to make some waves, and you would go to like industry events, and you'd see reps from other companies or product managers from other companies. They'd go and get a Montero to ski,
Right.
and then even those guys would be like, "Oh yeah,
oh boy, what are we gonna do now?
right, like that's a really good
Yeah.
ski." But again, they're really expensive.
Right.
So yeah, they better be good.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if Stockli slapped this price tag on a ski that was just the same
Yeah.
as everything else? It would be insulting.
Yeah.
It better be good.
No, they do it. They do a great job.
Yeah. So that's it on the Stormrider 95 here. We'll definitely talk about the 88 and the 102 at some point because we skied both of those quite a bit as well. Yeah, really excited to share some of that Robby footage too. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll leave a sneak peek at the end of this video.
It'll be fun.
You think I should leave a sneak peek?
You have to now.
I don't know. It'd be even more of like a cliffhanger if I
Yeah.
didn't, if the video just ended
Right.
right now.
No, it's still going.
Now I have the option. I can decide in the editing room.
Yep. Which way you want to go with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Or like I've received a couple of comments recently, like, ask your editing team what happened here.
Yeah, the editing team.
I wish I could go drop it off to an editing team.
Here's the footage.
Anyways, I'm going to go be the editing team. Let us know if you have any questions. Certainly happy to talk more about these skis. Look out for the 88 and 102 throughout the spring and summer. I think we'll get both of those out before the fall.
Yep.
So let us know if you have any questions, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, there's your firm.
That was fun.
Sick.